Good evening, friends. It's Friday once again, and I'm back with another tale from my collection. Now it's time to grab a snack, dim the lights, and let me take you into the night with a story I call The Windless Night. When I was younger, my grandparents were taking me back to my family in Arizona after spending the summer with them in Indiana. The approaching school year made this necessary. Scott collected his thoughts. My grandpa decided that we should make a vacation of it and detoured through Colorado, where we visited the Cliff Dwellings, an ancient Indian city in the southern Rocky Mountains. The dwellings were made of clay, and some of them were built into and against the walls of a canyon. They were called pueblos. Grandpa and I were exploring one of the pueblos, and I noticed a small cave leading away from the back of one of the rooms into the mountain. I had a flashlight, and being curious, I looked into the cave. I could see that it opened into a larger room, and was intrigued, so I made my way back there. I emerged into a room about the size of an average bedroom, and looked around. On the walls were pictographs, which are kind of like hieroglyphics, and there were all kinds of scenes with monsters and people dancing and a great treasure. I began trying to read the pictures, but none of it made much sense. It seemed to say that somewhere up in the mountains was another cave, which had an altar erected in the back of the caverns. This was as much as I could make out, and I was looking at the rest, trying to decipher it, when I noticed that one picture stood alone from the rest. It was a life-size picture of a shaman, an Indian medicine man, looking up at the sky. In one hand he held a spear, and in the other hand he held a crucifix. He seemed to be calling for help from God and the spirits of the elders. I reached out and touched the picture, and it felt like I had stuck my finger in an electric light socket. When I regained my senses, I looked around and noticed that the room was now aglow, and I didn't need my flashlight. Then I saw the shaman step out of the wall. I could feel at once that he was a powerful man, and I asked him about the drawings. He told me that long before the settlers had come to America, a tribe from South America called the Aztecs had come to hide their religious treasures from the conquistadors. The Spaniards were mighty warriors and an evil, greedy tribe that killed all who they subdued. The Aztecs appealed to his people for help. The village chiefs held council on the bluffs above the pueblos, and it was decided that 20 braves from each tribe would accompany the shaman and the Aztec priest to the cave of many caves to hide the treasure. They hid the treasure in the farthest reaches of the cave and built a false wall to hide it. Then, to further mislead any who would seek the treasure, they built an altar in another branch of the cave and placed the golden idol on it. The shaman of the people and the priest of the Aztecs then called upon the dark gods to guard the treasure. The dark gods appeared, and it was agreed that they would destroy any who disturbed the idol and trap their souls in return for the sacrifice of the 20 braves from each tribe to guard the souls within. The shaman and priest spoke among themselves, and they agreed. With the 40 braves sacrificed, the only ones who would know the secret would be themselves. They left the souls of the braves to guard the treasure and returned to the people. As they left the cave, there came a mighty wind, which was the screams of the 40 braves doomed to guard the treasure. The priest led his people back to the south, and the shaman crawled into the room I had found to draw this testimony. So great was his grief over the loss of the 40 braves that he asked the gods to take him. They answered by transposing him upon the wall in the picture I saw. Soon the Spaniards came, following the trail of the Aztecs. When they learned of the help given to the Aztecs, they slew the people of the city and went on to the caves. In the cave they found the idol and removed it. Howling winds erupted from the screams of the 40 braves, and all were destroyed except the 2 guards who waited at the entrance to the cave. The 2 guards, hearing the screams of their comrades upon the wind coming from the cave, feared for their lives and ran all the way back to the ships lying in the Gulf of Mexico and reported what had happened. The Spanish Armada then returned to South America and destroyed the Aztec nations. The old shaman told me that just after the maize harvest, they had walked for 3 days with the sun at their backs each morning to reach the cave from the pueblos. They walked from sunrise until sunset, stopping only to eat during the midday when the sun was high. They had entered the cave on the morning of the 4th day. After the gods had set him into the stone, the spirits of the elders had come to him over the years to give him counsel and seek to free him from the bonds of his grief. They showed him that he had done no wrong and asked that he come fly with them and the eagles. But the old man was inconsolable in his grief and vowed to stand his post until the time when the mystery of the cave was unlocked and the souls of the 40 braves freed. The shaman told me the only way to free the souls of the braves was to remove the treasure from the caves and destroy the idol. He warned me, though, that to touch the idol meant to be destroyed and trapped within. The caves are alive with the force of the 40 braves whose souls cry out for vengeance in the form of winds. These winds throw men who dare to enter the caves to their deaths in the bottomless chasm which runs along the center of the cave's entrance. To enter the caves, you must wait until the windless night. When the shaman finished telling me this story, the light dimmed and I had to turn my flashlight on again. I looked around, but the shaman was gone and I could hear Grandpa calling me. I crawled out of the cave as Grandpa came into the room. "Where have you been, Scott? We have to go back now. It's time for dinner." He tousled my hair and put his hand on my shoulder. "I was in the cave there, Grandpa." I turned to show him the cave, but it was gone. "Where did it go?" Grandpa, seeing I was confused, said, "Don't worry about it. There are all kinds of legends about these pueblos. Men far greater than you or I have seen things here which everyone does not see. Consider it a gift from the Indians who once lived here." I gave one last look to where I had been and followed Grandpa out of there. I've never mentioned that story since then because I was afraid no one would believe me. But ever since that day, I have vowed to someday return and free the braves of the people. Thank you for spending your time with me. Tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll be sure to join the conversation. That's all for now, but I'll be back again next Friday with another story. Just for you. Until then, sleep well.